Okay, I'm having a little interference, but I hope this will work. Okay, so I'm going to, yeah, I'm having interference. I'm gonna start this card game. This is a parody with the tarot readers. No, I'm not a tarot reader by any means or anything like that. But I've got a whole different thing with stack of cards. And we're gonna, you remember when we were young, the game War, you place a card down. So I'm gonna have 4 different players, and we're gonna go over all of the Machiavellian games. I don't know if you can see, I'm not seeing too clearly, but all of the Machiavellian games that are going on and the different players in Washington that I've been sending letters to and sending letters to and sending letters to, but nobody knows how to read. The higher up you get, worse the reading skills. So with the cards, I've got a Wonderland of Alice. This one is Women in History. I've changed some of the names on that one. This one was Impeach Trump. Some of these already had profiles on them and other card stacks didn't, so I added in names on them. This is Trump presidential playing cards. I do have some of the founding fathers from the Declaration of Independence there. And let's see this one. Oh, presidents. And oops, there's the price on it. I got them downtown at one of these tourism places. So I've tried to put all of the different game players that have contributed to this issue in here. I'll show you how I'm going to do this. Now, if I was playing with 3-year-old or 5-year-old kids, I would be like, oh my God, lady, you are cheating so much and stacking the game against you. It's not even funny. I didn't stack the cards. Everybody in Washington stacked the cards in my favor. So since all of the men are castrated, the kings have all gone to me. And the aces, and all of these little games that everybody's been playing with me, I keep on saying, you realize that aces are not just ones, they also trump everything else. So you may be denigrating me and, pulling all of this crap, but I just keep on racking up the cards and racking up the cards. So in all of the different piles, I pulled out the kings, the aces, and the jokers that go into my hand, the dealer, the casino. And I think, well, actually, that's the one that I'm working with right now, and the European Royals. Oh God, that's going to be huge. I think I need 2 or 3 decks for that one. Queen of Spades go to me as well, because I trump, Miss Queen Bee trumps all the other Queen Fridays that are out there, and you'll see the profiles. And then this is a high stakes game. This is for I mean, you're betting the farm if you want to play the games with me. Which, I mean, now here, I'm still working on my little coin box. I recycle all of this stuff, the plastic box. So here, yeah, the favor is, stacked against me, because I got my property, my life, my liberty, my honor, and you don't mess with my kids. Well, let's give me another one, and you don't mess with me. So I've got 2, 4, 6 coins for me to play with. Again, an entire bucket for these guys. There's 100 of them in here. And in this game, since everybody, they're in bed together, they lend money to each other to keep up the Machiavellian games. So all of the other players can, take from the pot when they need it. However, you'll see it's not quite stacked so much against me as one might think. And so all of my cards, I have them written. I mean, I'm writing with these permanent inks things. So I don't know if anybody can see that. It's Rico. Well, I'm going after everybody on. I originally started for the international courts, family courts, and you can look at my profile. I mean, I go over this and re-explain. So it originally started with family courts. That I'm going to the international courts. That was under Article 7 of the Rome Statutes, which is crimes against humanity, was my main focus. I've got all, different things, but I'm, trying to make this simple enough. So crimes against humanity under Rome Statutes. Now with all of the COVID crap, we'll see that as well in the deck of cards. I've also thrown Article 6, which is genocide in there. At the national level, because when I got back to the United States in 2009, I'm trying to get help, for my case in Spain, and then, other cases, and making examples of all of these cases and trying to develop jurisprudence. I get nowhere in Washington except right over the coals and BS everywhere I go. And then I have to keep a roof over my head. I have to eat. I'm not gonna be like Gandhi and go and live on the street. I keep on telling all of the women in the family court, activists, if I don't keep a roof over my head and Wi-Fi access, I'm not going to be very much good to anybody. So that, I do have to concentrate that as a survival priority and keep a job. And I don't have money to go all over the United States to your conferences and your committees, yet another one, and spend money that I don't have and waste time that I don't have. When you come to Washington, I went from 2009 to 2015. After that, I'm like, okay, I'm done, which we'll also see here. So, I came in good faith. I've been knocking at all of the doors. Nobody can ever tell me why I'm wrong. They just say, shut up, stupid. And then I get raked over the coals in labor rights violations in every place I work, in, the center of democracy of the world, and rights. Also housing, I've had to change 9 times. I'm finally posting the evidence that I'm building against this place. I mean, these people are crazy. Everybody in Washington's crazy. Oh gosh, it's hot in here. I hope this air conditioning doesn't make too much sound. Try and get it away. I mean, here I am, more qualified to do a job than anybody else in this town, and I'm sitting in a tiny room waiting for the eviction process to start. See in court, it's crazy. So, Washington is a lawless town. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. If you look on one of the ones that I'm doing about the little thumbnail that I'm the ones for the Kilbourne House, as the world turns, I've got Annie Oakley in there as well. I've got Scarlett O'Hara, Annie Oakley, and Emily Post. I'm like, well, I'm doing all 3 at the same time. And I'm originally was born in New Orleans, but I grew up in Tucson until I was I guess we left when I was 14. And I know what the Wild West was. One of my favorite shows when I was little, I mean, I don't remember this, but my parents always told the story, Gunsmoke. And I used to come in to the room and say, I'm gonna still change my diapers. I'm like, well, I couldn't stand the stench back then, and I can't stand the stench back now. And I mean, I love Westerns. However, so I'm also a Western girl from the lawlessness of you know, the Wild West and know what that's all about. So I'm like, we need all 3 of these little ladies coming in there: the Emily Post, the Scarlett O'Haras from the South, and the Annie Oakleys from the West, and say no more in my country. So under those, I've been developing, I think, since 2016, 2017, under RICO, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization Act, Mafia. In my Financing for Development, Midsummer Night's Dream, I even quote Mario Puzo from The Godfather, that was 1,000 lawyers, whatever, a bunch of lawyers with suitcases can steal more than 1,000 soldiers, something like that. But it's true. Like fire with fire. The lawyers have been hanging everybody out to dry for a long time, and there's a lot of illegal stuff that's been going on. You go after them on RICO, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, because my lord, the corruption is everywhere. David Lipton, former deputy manager of the IMF, that's particularly for you. You might remember me from the IMF spring meetings when you didn't like my question, Q&A, and the second conference you did about why I'm not hearing enough about corruption in this place. Corruption is not everywhere. Oh, yes, it is. Everywhere. So, and then we get to the Patriot Act. Because quite frankly, everything that everybody is doing is in subversion of the US Constitution and Bill of Rights. So I trump you on that one. I mean, you know, the lawyers, where are you people? I mean, the poor victims of the courts have nowhere to turn. I mean, people are cha-ching, 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 and amusing yourselves. It's disgusting. So I went on that. So what I'm going to do first, I did. The problem is these, all of these cards are different sizes. And we've got a lot of cards. Oops. Voila. Okay, so let's put those out there. This is where I get into the tarot readers, what falls out. So what I'm gonna do, I mean, as I say, I got another one here, but I got so many cards here, I don't really know where to start. I mean, some of these, as I said, like these cards, what was this one? Oops, voila, some more fell out. The impeach Trump ones. They already have people in there. So let's pull these out. Yep, there I got some more that fell out. Okay, I think I should get some. Whoop, there we go, there we go. Okay. See, it's not, I mean, I usually, you know, shuffle with the bridge. In fact, that's my favorite part about the card playing with people. I'm like, oh, let me shuffle. But with so many cards and all different sizes, it's okay. So let's see if we have enough cards for this one. Okay, how I did this yesterday. I think I gave everybody 8 cards. Start with that. Oh, actually, you know what? Do is the proper way to deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so I have some left over. We'll see what comes of those. I might, since I'm just starting this, I got lots of cards in here. Some of these profiles, we'll see that. So, what the age? Let's see. This is, we've got Christie, player number 1. He's former governor of New Jersey. Then we've got the restaurant Succotash and the domestic violence extremists in that place. We've got, I've left these for the moment. It's the Wonderland of Alice. So we'll see what happens with that. And then Agalorov, the Elvis of Azerbaijan. Not too familiar with him. Then we've got James Madison in here. Joe Biden, former president. This is when he's president. Former vice president. This is when he's vice president. Oh, Ted Cruz. It was my favorite. Now, Keith Schiller, Deputy Assistant to the President, the bodyguard. Not too familiar with him either. Second pack, we've got, well, this is the women in history. I'll just say the ones that I changed it for. This is Megyn Kelly and Melinda Gates. This one is Mitch McConnell, Senator Majority Leader. Ooh, I like this one. Laura Ingraham. Sorry, I guess I should be showing these better. Laura Ingraham, Fox News personality. Oh, DC law firms. I can get as close as you want with this one. I'm sure not going to be able to read because there's a slew and it's just a small portion. Melania Trump. Another Wonderland of Alice. I wish you wouldn't keep appearing and vanishing. You make one quite giddy. Oh, and then we've got Ronald Reagan. VP Kamala Harris. Okay, I'm putting, now that's another thing within my game. With these guys, it's not necessarily the suit or anything like that. It's more the subject. But I'm still working on my Excel spreadsheet, and I'll show you how I'm breaking up and down the hierarchy, which really gets more into like more of the hierarchy of unofficial power, not the official power. So then the third pile, we've got Stephen Miller, Senior Advisor to the President, Imperial Wizard. So the former President Trump. Jared Kushner. Brett Kavanaugh. And I'm still working on a lot of my comments on these things because that it helps me to remember what I'm the subject that I want to cover on this. Women's Linked Worldwide. All the people in there. Oh, what a cesspool of, what are they? Reproductive rights feminists. If anybody has read any of their books, I'm just like, what's this? The Women's and Gender University, all of those departments and universities. I want to know what the hell they're doing. Okay, then we've got two Alice in Wonderland. This is a Queen of Diamonds. That's the effect of living backwards. It always makes one a little giddy at first. Washington tends to do that to you. This is a Jack of Spades. It was careless of him to put another man's helmet on with the man in it too. I have to say, look at through the looking glass in Alice in Wonderland is, I mean, the political statements of that time, which is the Victorian era, which I want to get into. I mean, I didn't get into totally with Prince Harry, but I want to get into with the other stack of cards, well, the European monarchs, starting with Victoria, who made all of these children sperm over Europe, so they fight all the time. That's how we ended up with the world wars. So, I mean, it's not totally their fault. They were just too much out to lunch and too busy partying. So the we got to get rid of these monarchs came in. Okay. George Washington University president. And all of the departments that I have cases against there. Oh, this one's gotten a lot of Wonderland and Alice. 5 of Hearts is, oh, Tiger Lily, I wish you could talk. So, as I say, I only have 6 points. However, when I start the war, then I'm going to start collecting points and racking it up. So I guess that one's going to be, I don't need more cards. So what it is, I'm just going to start with 1, per card. But if they've got lots of different people involved in their little network, each person in that little network, the group of people on the card, is going to have to up with their own point. As I say, these guys, let's say I'll work on my artwork to do this a little nicer rather than the plastic thing. Yeah, they can all take from this pot, the pot of gold, whereas I can't. I guess I need another pot of gold for my own. So let's start. I'll turn this over. Let's shuffle this a little bit. Oh, I got some to fill out. But it doesn't really matter because any of them that I pull out is RICO, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, Patriot Act, Article 6, Article 7 of the Rome Statutes, and subversion of the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. So, whichever one I pull. See how the casinos, stack the cards. So let's start with the first player who's on my left hand. Okay, let me just show you how I have this thing. And we'll be putting it, and I guess you can't really see me there, but you can see my board. Well, at least the middle of it. So let me start with Ted Cruz. Okay, Ted Cruz, when I saw him, it's a little better. When I saw him in, the primaries with Trump in 2016, I was like, oh, you people, Ted Cruz is so much more dangerous than Trump. He actually has a brain. And knows a little bit about the law. And so I was kind of relieved. I was like, well, Trump's not gonna, but lo and behold, what happened? And as we got down to the wire, I saw that this wasn't in the bag for the Democrats by any means. And I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton by any means. And I'm tired of the Democrats. Got to put the money in there. They're selling out their constituency just as much as the Republicans. I was like, oh gosh. So, and then also my mother had been a big supporter of Ted Cruz. She's always been when we lived in Tucson, she was even president of the Tucson
Republican Women's Club, and there's a photo of me in '64, so I'm 1 year old, with a Goldwater for President hat on there. So yeah. And a good friend of hers is, or was, she's deceased now, Mike Helen, former presidential candidate or former campaign advisor to 2018 presidential candidate John McCain. I've been asking assistance from John McCain's camp since 2007. So so, you know, Cruz is not one of my favorite people, and he just he's involved in quite a few things that are subverting. I won't go into all of it because I mean, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I can't listen to you guys. Even since the 2020 elections and even 2016, I was like, I knew you guys are going to crash and burn, and I don't want to listen to your cackling anymore. It's all just political game playing up on Capitol Hill with everybody buying, you know, vote, 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 because we want to be voted into power. Everybody should look at the Libertarian Party. They're the only one with a decent platform. I totally agree. They're calling for the end of the new Jim Crow. Well, the war on drugs, which will, of course, open the door for me for the new Jim Crow. You know, anyway, I mean, Ted Cruz is what we see all of the time, typical, you know, immigrant who's come from, you know, to the El Dorado to cash in. And he's Cuban, of Cuban origin. I forget, his family had been from elsewhere, but they, you know, he had come from Cuba and his father had lived in Cuba. And they claimed, you know, that they were political refugees from Castro. Apparently his family came before any of that happened, when Batista was still in power. So this opens a Pandora box with me on Cuba and Cuban-American relations and what happened with Batista, Castro. I mean, you want a good example of how communism can destroy a country? Chavez is the other example. When Chavez got into power, I said, my God, it's just another Castro. Oh yeah, we're happy. I'm like, well, you shouldn't be going to go to Cuba. I mean, I was there in the end of the 90s and things were better. At least they could, I mean, that, you know, we gave them dollars because the Cuban money was, you know, worthless. I mean, we couldn't we couldn't trade with the Cuban money. But, and that was another thing, you know, the tourist shop, that's where you can get the stuff. We even had Cubans outside on the street asking us to buy stuff in there. I buy it for them and give them. I mean, I went and I took all of the soap from the hotels and everything. I can't use that stuff. I have to travel with my own soap with me. But I took it every single day, and when I go out on the streets, I'd hand it, you know, I mean, you know, one time I was in this convent, and, you know, they were like, if everybody has a donation, because that was another thing at the time, we were told to bring, you know, any kind of medicine, you know, pharmaceutical type stuff that we might have that wasn't expired. around the house, and that we would give that to the monasteries or the nuns and those things, because then they would distribute it, you know, not through the black market, but to the people who needed it, because everything was black market. I mean, the place was trashed. But that also, you know, how did Castro get into power? Batista, the libertine, you know, paradigm that was going on in the 20s and 30s, and which is how World War II came in. That was going on as much in the United States as Europe and Latin America, everywhere else. So, you know, any of the immigrants, yes, you know, welcome our board, you know, we need people to settle this country, to exploit it and turn it into a trash bin. So, you know, send us your huddled masses, but the huddled masses have to stop trying to grapple up the ladder of success and, you know, just cash in either through power or glory or money or you know, any of that. So let's see. Yeah, his father claimed false asylum. His wife, he's from Princeton. That's another thing we'll see. I mean, almost all of these profiles are from Ivy League colleges. I mean, this is one of my big beefs we'll see later with GW. I mean, come on, what are you people churning out? A bunch of narcissists and psychopaths. So he definitely grew up in a dysfunctional family. And his wife, banker, corporate executive of Goldman Sachs. Do I need to say more? So that's number one, playing his card. Gosh, okay. We'll get who we're gonna put up against Ted Cruz. Let's do Laura Ingraham. So Laura Ingraham, she's got to put in her little booty to play the game. I mean, you talk about your dumb blondes and empowering them in the propaganda promoting media. And quite frankly, ladies, how many of you are true blondes? Oh my Lord, look at that overflow of blondes. Either you guys are dyeing your hair or these guys really have a thing for blondes. Believe me, in my 20s, I once tried to dye my hair where you could see blonde, and I had a friend who was learning how to be a, you know, hairdresser. And he said, oh, blonde. I think we almost burned my hair off. Believe me, kids, they do, or you know, all sorts of crazy stuff with their hair when they're in their teens and early 20s, and they get over it. Don't stress out, parents, if your children or their friends come home with green or blue hair. No big deal compared to what else is going on out there. So she's University of Virginia. Oh, I mean, alpha dominance all the way. She and Kellyanne Conway, I don't know who I'd give the prize to. Oh, super nationalist. Well, this is gonna get, if everybody comes more and more nationalistic, this is definitely gonna end up in a global war.
I mean, one of the points that I made to my sister and to all of these expat wives, of all of the expat wives clubs, Federation of American Women's Clubs overseas, International Monetary Fund Family Association, World Bank Family Network, UN Local Expat Spouse Association, FIAF, which is the French version. You know, the courts are raking foreigners over the coals, and it's going to the poor and the rich. And us little ladies in custody battles, domestic abuse, are particularly targeted. And they are shutting us up like you can't believe. And what is the best way to shut somebody up? First, take all of their assets. They're struggling to survive, and they can't hire anybody. They, you know, people, oh gosh, you lost your $1 million home. You're out in a little, you know, oh, you're no longer of interest to all of us people who just want to party and be invited to the next, you know, great party you're having in your $1 million home. I mean, I couldn't care less. I knew that, you know. Doug Shaw, Dwight Shaw's son, told me about that one. I was like, I know, I agree. You never know who your friends are, or if your friends are your friends because you got $1 million home and have lots of parties, or because they really like you. Believe me, when you get canceled and marginalized, you find out. And they're few and far between. But as I said, I knew that was coming. I was like, you know, whatever. So, Fox News was in grabbing Trump loyalists. I mean, I'm going to be going after Cuomo for, he made me feel uncomfortable because he hugged me. And then we got, oh no, it's normal to have some man grab you by the crotch. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. This woman lives in, another crazy person who lives in this house, the one who's always throwing things, the artist. She worked, you know, travel agencies forever. Came here in the 70s. She was like, well, no big deal if they do that. $50 a pass for lunch, a quick lunch, that's okay. Like, no, I'm sorry. You know, these, as Cuomo said, I didn't realize the extent to which the rules of the game had been redrawn. I mean, my ex warned me about it. He told me, you're going to end up on the street having to prostitute you to survive if you leave me. Like, you're crazy to get a job like that. I mean, when I was 14, 15 years old, I couldn't get, you know, be paid for it. We used to ride in the stable we worked at it the summer. I mean, I was like, and what, because I'm an old lady? We can't even get a minimum wage job that they're passing out to all of the immigrants and passing me over. I mean, these are like illiterate immigrants who don't speak English. I'm fluent in English, French, and Spanish. Yet, I cannot find a lawyer in DC to take anybody to court against discrimination against a rich white woman. Because we've got women like Laura Ingraham who have risen to power, producing chaos everywhere she goes with her BS. I mean, the Taliban is not much different or no different than the white supremacists. And in fact, one of the things that I found out, the Feminist Majority Foundation under Eleanor Schmiels
is too busy helping women in Afghanistan, advancing their rights, their right to oppress and become masters of the universe and grapple into positions of power. That's why these guys are so pissed off. I mean, my God, the poor men in DC, the black men of African Americans, one Latino man even said, yeah, they're all castrated. They're afraid to move with these black women. Oh, and they're getting worse and worse in Washington. I mean, I've had it up here. I'm like, post office, I got your name over there, lady. Safeway and Giant, I got your name as well, or at least your face. These corporations and the post office and the public transportation in DC, the way that they're trashing the metro system, people working there. De vergüenza, de vergüenza. And where is Eleanor Holmes Norton? Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So we get to the third player. Okay. Well, I've got a lot of the Wonderland of Alice. Okay, let's do this one. The Queen of Diamonds of the Wonderland of Alice. That's the effect of living backwards. It always makes one a little giddy at first. So what do I get here? Ace of Diamonds, again, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, RICO, Patriot Act, and the Rome Statutes, inter alia. I'm not a visitor, and I'm not a servant. I like that one. So, I win the war. Keep these separate. And then I'll have to separate them afterwards. And I take the booty for my stack. See how I'm going to end up at the end of this game with everybody's booty. And everybody in here is betting their farm. Because either I've contacted them or, you know, they're involved in these networks of the game players. Let's see. This one. Where did I put that? Pull that out, I'm not sure where. But I have all of these. Oh, here it is. I got these things all over the place. And I don't think this thing's been out in the sun and on the terrace and gotten a lot of. But here, as I say, I don't think you can really see the different, all of these different groups. You know, I got that feminist, Bretton Woods, Spain, the NGOs and think tanks, the capital ventures, the universities, the international development community, the executive, judicial, and legislative branches of the American government, and the American ruling elite. Right. If anybody else out there has a suggestion of who I could contact and get the ball rolling of what I'm requesting, which is my right and everybody else's right, then you know, I'm open to suggestions. But I keep on knocking at doors, slam them in my face and say, go away, stupid. Go away, Grace. I'm not crazy here. That's why everybody's flipping out. And you guys are the ones who are crazy here. So let's, I'll try and speed this up because I guess this will get too long. Maybe I should have had less cards. Because believe me, I got to talk for hours on any of these people. So, I'm not sure of this guy. Play a hard card. Joe Biden is vice president. I'm not sure about his childhood, I read. But see, it's very, and I'm going to be adding, because another thing that everybody has to understand is these people, they're here with their wives. And this is, you know, my big thing with the ruling elite in Washington, D.C. Biden, I mean, Biden's been here since I think the 80s. Rags to riches, father. So once again, this is another theme that we see all the time with all the profiles in Washington. They're all rags to riches, and they're really impressed with, you know, the pomp and circumstance, and they've sold their souls in the process. Now Biden, the worst thing for Biden, with, you know, in terms of what I've been working on, is that Carrie Bettinger Lopez was his advisor at the White House on violence against women. And that was after she, you know, successfully brought the case to the international courts, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. That was 2011. Gonzalez Linehan versus USA. And the defense, you know, it's again one of these horrible stories of the mother saying he's gonna kill him, and they eventually do, and oops, policemen, and everything just gets covered up, and we see it all the time. You know, swept under the carpet. Nobody wants to assume responsibility, no accountability, no transparency, and no diligence. That's really the crux of the problem. So the American defense was, we don't have control over courts at state and local levels. Now, I told the ladies in 2011 when I heard that, the other activists, I said, well, they just admitted to basically having no control, therefore jurisdiction, the federal government, over the state governments. Therefore, the US Constitution and Bill of Rights is null and void. They're basically, you know, negating their obligations under our founding documents. Now let's challenge it. Oh no, Gary Bettinger Lopez goes to get to bed with the White House. Instead of calling these people out and saying, wait a second, and we don't even need to clean up the family courts, the penal system as well. And why Biden, Obama, I mean, you talk Trump selling out his constituency? Sure, yeah. So Biden and Obama and Clinton and all of the other Democrats who have been here, you know, partying since the 80s, and if not before. So Biden betting the farm. Oh, let's put him with Kamala Harris. With that card. Well, Kamala Harris, you know, another Michelle Obama. I mean, Barack Obama, you even hear him, he even says, like on the internet in interviews, what a bully his wife is. And how he, what is it, Sasha and Michelle are like against him, and Malia, I think the younger or the other one is. I mean, this is rampant with the African American women who have grappled up the ladder of success. Why aren't they concerned about all of the rights violations of their brethren in American prisons, and the lack of due process of these people, and the problems that the war on drugs has created, the new Jim Crow? I mean, the United States has almost 25% of the global prison population in our prisons, and it's big business, and it's failed. So, I mean, why? I mean, it just, she should have pulled another Nancy Reagan. Just say no. One of my slogans, just say no to the new Jim Crow. So, and again, rags to riches, and I'm sorry, this is one with the real social climber. And giggly, ooh. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's gonna be a disaster. And I'm sure, I mean, Biden, when I'm hearing him talk a lot of times, I'm like, I don't know if you're on someone's tranquilizer, what's going on there. And I think that was the ideal with Kamala Harris to come in and wear the pants. The feminists found the back door. Oh, they found a good back door. However, it's not going to bid well, but she's from California. And California Child, what is it? Protective Parents Association is really the first. That started under Connie Valentine. You know, there's some stuff going on there that'll come up later in the cards. So Kamala Harris, I want some answers about, because judge, I mean, ask any victims of the courts, family courts, domestic violence, that have been re-victimized by the courts. The women judges are the women judges and lawyers are the worst, the biggest bitches. Because she's not only you know, African American descent, but Indian descent. We'll get into the Indian stuff. Laura Nader in Life of Law. She talks about the problems of the mediation process and how you know, it's destroying the rule of law. Now, why isn't Laura Nader with her brother Ralph Nader doing something about it instead of just cashing in universities all of these years? So we get to third player. Let's do sure. Let's stay on American soil. GW president. This is another thing. I mean, GW is right next door to the White House. I call it the Penn, what is it, the quad, Penn quad, Mafia quadrant. I can't forget, that was the blog that I did. Because when that, within that little area of between the White House and Foggy Bottom, You got a concentration of game players colluding the international community with GW in all of the issues. And GW is the 5th most expensive university in the United States these days. And it wasn't worth $10,000 when I went there in the 80s, and it's certainly not worth that kind of money now. And they're up a creek without a paddle, as I'll tell you. The president, LeBlanc, he came in one evening at Calari Taverna. They were having a dinner. And once again, I didn't know who he was. He's rather new in town. He had only been here for 2 years. And I hadn't seen that GW had changed presidents. So he comes in and he said, yeah, he was with GW, you know, they're having a dinner, they're a group of them. And I'm going, oh, what department, what department? And he said, no, I'm the president. And I said, oh, sir. I mean, these are one of these moments of, well, I certainly don't want to, you know, he's here to have the dinner, but he's got to know that I'm coming after him. Of course, you know, I would never do anything to anybody, you know, but I might insult you. You get my temper up, but you know, I'll admit, I would do it in an appropriate manner, and you know, one that would be so subtle that it would go fly under the radar of being aggressive. So that's Thomas LeBlanc. His wife is Anne LeBlanc. I'm pretty sure he was at Florida, Miami University. Not a problematic place because, of course, Miami is the capital of South America. I used to tell all my Colombian friends, we'd all go, you know, this summer, everybody, oh, more to South America. So many of them have apartments and Piedad there in Colombia. And I always told them, yeah, Miami's the capital of South America. Well, the capital of South America really should stop the assistance of exploitation of their people, so that the Americans can keep up their drug supply and all the other crap that they're playing. Oh, we've been involved in banana republics and military coups and all of that stuff. My grandfather worked for the American government. He was the first white lawyer to successfully defend a black man in the Deep South in Alabama in 1910. And instead of the NAACP taking an interest in let's fight these, you know, things through the courts instead of affirmative action, no, the American government did. But and he came to DC and worked in intelligence work, which was basically spy work. This is before the, you know, before they had any of the CIA or any of those things. It was all like congressional members and you know, not so organized, but I'm not sure it was so corrupt, because he, you know, my father told me that he got involved with subversive activity, and that's why he retired. My father said he didn't know what it was, and that his father had always told him that his life would be in danger if my father ever knew what it was. So that secret died with my grandfather. You can waterboard us all we want, but we don't know anything. So, you know, from even my own family history, I know the extent that the American government has been involved in shenanigans amongst our Southern friends. So, yeah, GWU, they've got departments all over the place that are looking that totally incompetent in what they're doing with bullshit, just like a lot of other universities. So first one is the domestic violence leap. It's called Legal Empowerment, I don't know, Joan Meyer. Well, she's most known for parental alienation. This is a circular debate going on between the domestic violence people and the experts and academics. And I'm like, would you please get off that bandwagon? You've been doing that for how many years so you can make a lot of money? Because you get to go to conferences, you have big discussions about something that's totally irrelevant to what's going on. And you got a whole department on this, a bunch of idiots. So I'm gonna look at the jurisprudences, all of that stuff. We got the Nuremberg trials too coming up. Oh, she's also Jewish. GW as well. I mean, when I went to GW, I think I had two people maybe who were Jewish in Tucson, but the only difference for me was they got Hanukkah of 8 days of presents, and I had Christmas of 1. So I knew nothing about Judaism, and when I got there, I asked the guy I had met. I mean, in the cafeteria, one of the guys in the dorm, and we were becoming friends. And I said, what is this? I don't see any Japanese around here. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, you guys are always talking Jap this, Jap that, Jap this, Jap that. I'm like, but there are no Japanese. I promise you, he almost fell off his chair laughing. And he told me, oh my God, only a guy like you would ask a question like that. And believe me, GW was maybe more of an education in terms of Jewish people and Jewish food, Jewish customs, Jewish mothers. I found out that Jewish mothers, Muslim mothers, and Christian and Catholic mothers, they got a race running between them of who can be the most control freaks and screw up their kids. And that's what we have to stop. And that's what the feminists don't want, because if their Machiavellian psychological abuse is talk about that, gaslighting. Oh, no, it didn't happen. Oh gosh. Trump, when he said that about the January 6th insurrection, I'm like, welcome to our world, you people, because that's what they tell us all the time. Even though, black and blue and broken bones and a whole kit and caboodle, he was all in your mind. He was all in your mind. So, taste your own medicine, you guys. Joan Meyer? Just along with all of the other domestic violence NGOs out there who have been knocking on the door at, want to see you in court. Why, in all of these years, I've prepared the cases, I've argued the cases, I have done your job, and you won't submit. And also, you treat me like I'm a stupid idiot. Tell me where I am wrong. We can have a discussion. But don't tell me that I don't know what I'm doing or I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't have a PhD or I've been out of the game or I don't have an ESQ or whatever other reason that you come up with. Because you can explain it to the courts where I am wrong. You don't want to talk to me. See, this is the thing. You can't negotiate with terrorists. And that's what these people are. All the ladies out there, on the right and the left. I mean, okay, we got the men, but my focus, I'm like, little ladies, you are the motor behind this. The UN report. This is one of the things that, I don't know if you can see this. I keep on quoting the UN report on in-depth study on all forms of violence against women. It is the women who are the motor behind the sexual and physical violence of the men. Now, women have to grow up as much as men have to grow up, but everybody. So, gosh, I might not get all through the cards. I might have to reduce this to just like 3 or 4 cards because otherwise I'd be here all night. So, but you'll get the gist of the game. Then we've got the Human Rights Department over at GW under Arturo Carrillo. His thing is cyber, crimes, is human rights violations. Like, we're all over the map on that with the domestic violence people. Open any of the domestic violence websites. First thing that'll pop up to you that will say, be careful, be careful, be careful, because you're being stalked and they're following you. Make sure you get rid of your cookies on here and be careful, don't open this thing up if you think that he can track that you've been on here. Because he might flip out and kill you. Okay, maybe not kill you, but beat you up or whatever. But we all know about this. My Lord, my ex, he was hacking into my computer and, cyberjacked my website. And so I'm all over the map. In my case in Spain, on cyberjacking and stalking and it was all over the place. I mean, I eventually I had to leave Spain and I couldn't, I had one suitcase, so of course the computer is left, but evidence would have been on the computer. Why didn't my lawyers? No, they were too busy on shutting me up and making sure that everything, was swept under the carpet. All evidence. I mean, if your own lawyers are colluding with the opposing counsel, this is serious shit. I don't know. But the Bar Association of Madrid, this is one of my favorite, is the right of lawyers to violate the rights of their clients under the principles of judicial independence. I want the Spanish government to explain that one in the international courts. How does that fly? How does that work? This is what Spanish government officials think judicial independence is about. Of course, you can't implement your constitution. Everybody's brain dead, your systems. So then, and believe me, I made sure, we did colonoscopies of everybody I possibly could when I was building my case. It was basically, 2000, from the beginning, 2007, 2012 was when I, finished the bogus domestic remedies process in Spain. Well, I knew that would be buried. All of these other activists keep on saying to me, why do you keep on writing these letters why do you keep on insisting writing another letter and another letter? I said, is it not evident? I'm setting these people up for a fall. Now they want to ignore me. They bet their farm. And their farm is their property, their liberty. Now, I am totally against capital punishment, but I got no problem locking these people up in jail. Too big to fail? Oh no, I'm sorry. What's too big to fail is this planet that you guys, all the 10%ers, I mean, I'm all over the freaking map after 15 years, and I've been in good faith every single time. It's everybody else that they're a bad faith. Explain yourself to the people and explain yourself to the courts. You want to be in positions of power. You want to live the good life. You want to have it all. Well, assume. Then there is the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship under Jim Chung. I mean, you talk about your arrogant Asians, buddy. I don't know if you were born here or not, but you're up a creek without a paddle. I mean, the only, because I went there related to my Global Expats project. You can see the business plan. The platform, the concept is between LinkedIn, Facebook, TripAdvisor, and Yelp.com, but targets is the expat wives and the expat, families who are huge consumer spenders. Think about it, people. When you go to a new city or a new country, you need a place to live, you need furniture, you need to stock your refrigerator, you need to stock, and if you're moving from one, climate to another, your family's clothes are going to change. These people spend a lot of money, when they get there, but also abroad. And it's, like 300 million. I mean, when I did, and this is aggregate spending, it's all in the business plan, $8 trillion. Now, TripAdvisor targets $1 to $2 trillion consumer spender market. I know a lot bigger than that. I mean, Facebook, their names are numbered. LinkedIn is going to have a lot of the same problems. Yelp, oh Lord, I got stuff all over the place with them. TripAdvisor, I haven't seen anything that would be of concern for me. I mean, it's not going to be as lucrative because all of this jet setting has got to stop. So anyway, I just keep on biding my time. I'm like, it's like the rabbit, the hare, and the tortoise. I'm the tortoise in this game, and you guys are the hare. If anybody remembers, there's children's stories. The tortoise always wins. Jim Chung, he wanted to sell me, sign up for courses at GW, courses that I could teach better than the idiots they've got in there. And that's all he's interested in. And I've already been, going through Joan Meyer, Carrillo, and also the women and gender study over there. They were looking at I think this was 2013, maybe 14. They were looking at the UN report in-depth study on all violence against women. Now that I've been focusing so much on that the entire, ever since I found it, I forget when, but I was like, oh my God, you guys got to look at this. Help me get the students to, let's look at the different issues. Let's start, moving forward. No, I mean, I send emails. I call up afterwards. I even went over there because it's right next to the IMF and hand delivered a hard copy of what I had sent to the guy. No response. I'm not a big donor. I'm not a celebrity. So they just ignore you. You're not important. Well, see, this is going to bite everybody in the ass at the end because the people are getting tired of this. Then the last that I have, and this was more recently, was the economics department. Now, when I went to GW, one of the stories that I repeat and repeat and repeat, I don't know how many times, nobody seems to listen, is that when I signed up for International Econ 101, I was told to drop it because even the econ majors failed it at least once. It wasn't a requirement for me. It was elected. I was with my experience with algebra and geometry is similar to Einstein. Look on his Wikipedia account. I won't get into that story right now. But so I got into, got a 98, which I still contend should have been a 99 on the midterm. And I turned around and I helped tutor my classmates who asked me, and they all passed with flying colors. I said, this guy's making this so much more complicated than it actually is. Now, okay, he's talking about your head sometimes, which we won't cover because it's just going to confuse you, and I'm following him. But here it is, blah, blah, blah. Here are my notes. First 15 minutes. At the end of this week that I finished the tutorial, the other student said, is this it? I said, yeah, that's it. We all passed with flying colors. Now, was Dr. Dunn an old lady? Because I'd actually gone to him after the midterm, and I said, wait a second, I answered this one right. I should be getting a 99. Now, I didn't realize at that time everybody had bombed it. And he was just angry that I had got I had aced this class that he makes so difficult for undergrad students. I mean, I had even considered going to London School of Economics after that course, but I didn't have the money. My God, Washington. Between my family, what was going on with my parents, me trying to figure out what I want to do. I mean, I always know I want children and, a family and all of that stuff. Professionally, see, this is another thing. All of these people, from a young child, want to be a doctor, a lawyer. Well, that's another thing. Everyone wants to be a doctor or a lawyer. Well, no, I mean, I was lucky that I was like, well, whatever I decide to do, I got a brain. Yeah, I'm never going to be a computer programmer. That's not going to happen. You can make me sit at my desk for 15 years and I'd never be a good one at that one. But a lot of things I can do. So that was never a concern. I mean, I remember Michelle Obama, she was saying,
that she'd never been good in math. So that's why she wasn't going to become a doctor. So she was good at talking a lot. So that's why she became a lawyer. I was like, yes, well, this is the crux of the problem. So, you know, with the shutdown and everything, I was able to work on a lot of the pending letters that I had for GW. Well, it was mainly the IMF, ICD, Institute for Capacity Development. This goes back several years, 2015, 2016. But, you know, these guys who think statute of limitations, oh, it's in the past, you know, you'll never get anywhere. I'm like, you know, this attitude of just cover it up, just cover it up, just cover it up, and ignore her, and ignore her. It has given me the trail to go after you guys under RICO. So your strategy of just ignore her long enough and she'll disappear, not working too good. So we finish GW. Oh my goodness, I don't even know how long I've gone here. I think I'm gonna have to do 2 and 3 cards at a time, because I can go on after all of, you know, every person that comes through. So my card. Ah. Ace of Spade, Wonderland of Alice. I like these Wonderland of Alice is one. Who am I? I will remember if I can. Everybody in Washington, the objective, the name of the game is create so much chaos and cacophony that nobody can figure out what's going on, and they can't even remember who they are, what their name is. So I like that one. So these people, oh, wait a second, I forgot this part. Because with GWU, since we've got Phoebe Lee, well, we got the LeBlancs, and Thomas and Anne LeBlanc. I address these letters. Maybe this is what everybody's not getting also. But these letters, and often it'll be just to the wife, but you know, I mean, not across the board. It depends. But for example, in the case of the president of GW, or the case of the president of the United States, I'm sorry, the husband and the wife, you know, I'm sorry, lady, you do not have to work to survive. If you want to go out there and work, and cha-ching, 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 and I'll see you in court when having it all, because I know your kids are screwed up, and we got 70 to 90% incompetence rates in, you know, professions across the board. So you're screwing that one up as well. So, and the role of upper crust women who do have a life of leisure and you know, don't have to clean the toilets, and you know, you got the large homes, you do the entertaining. With that comes some responsibility towards your community. Want to come to Washington, the belongs from Florida? Okay. But you want to come to Washington? You got some responsibility in the job as president of GW. Now, you do not want to assume that. You accept the consequences. I mean, this is kindergarten 101. So
as I say, you know, and if it's an ambassador or the ambassadors, I mean, you know, my focus is expat wives clubs. One of the fundamentals, you know, ideas, if you will, behind global expats is sort of basically the same as Carolyn Curtis Brown, who founded FACO, Federation of American Women's Clubs overseas in 1931. And she thought, you know, bringing women together will help world peace. I forget, you know, principles of democracy. Yes, again, the mission, the idea was good. But the little ladies who are in there are at Schitt's Creek without a paddle. They wanted to play the ignore her till she goes away game with me and condescension game with me. Just like IMF Family Association, just like World Bank Family Network, you know, FIOF is in there. You bet your farm and your liberty, because you're in an NGO that is doing fraudulent work. And not only fraudulent work, but aiding and abetting the pedophiles, the rapists, and the sexual harassment that's going on out there. You know about my work. You know what I'm doing. If you are too stupid to do your own homework and be out there perpetuating a bunch of bullshit, that's your problem. I have posted everything out there. It's all in reports, you know, for everybody to see. It's a synopsis. I've always been very good about explaining extremely complicated things to people in a simple manner. You want to get on your high horse and jet set around the world and party and go, ha 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 ha. Oh no, I mean, Karen White. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I think it is maybe Karen White. At Federation of American Women's Clubs over, no, yeah. Federation of American Women's Clubs overseas. They're a human rights specialist. Little lady, don't get in the game if you are not willing to do any homework. I am so sick and tired of these NGOs that open up by a bunch of bimbos who just want to give up, get on the podium and regurgitate the other bullshit that everybody's out there spouting. This is fraud. So what I was saying with this one, so we've got that's why, you know, Anne LeBlanc is in there. So let's see. They already gave for the president and Anne LeBlanc. We'll get that on one. Joan Myers got a bet her farm. Arturo Carrillo. He's an immigrant, so he's also looking at a double jeopardy there. I mean, I you know, whether these people are born on American soil or not, I'm not really sure. However, also a lot of the stuff that they've been promoting that is eroding the rights of people, gonna bite them in the ass. Because if those same standards are used against them, they could quickly find themselves stripped of their nationality in the United States, deported, and stateless people. I mean, those are the norms that they're promoting. those are the norms that they've put on the table. Now, if those are used against them, I mean, this is what I'm fighting for. No, just because they are trying to subvert the rule of law, just as because they are trying to subvert the US Constitution or Bill of Rights, that doesn't justify you doing. So, Arturo Carrillo. Then Jim Chung. I don't know where he was born, but another, minority who cha-ching, only interested in money and power, betting his farm. The econ department, actually, there was two guys over there. Wahlberg, it's I forget off the top of my head. So there's two guys over there betting the farm. And the women and gender study. Okay. Whoops. There are a whole bunch of people over there. I can't add them all up. Let's just give them 3. We'll be generous because they don't have much, their homes and assets are probably not worth much. Okay, so everybody here, lay your money down. And I lay my money down. But I win. So, there they go. Booty is for me. Now, see, only in 2 cans. How I started out with 6. 2, 4, 6. Let's see, I'm at 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. In 2 hands. Now, can people say how I actually might be ended up with more than a $10 billion lawsuit against every, because that's just the losses of lost income from global expats in the past 10 years. Now we start, that's one case, my case alone. I don't know some other cases out there, but drops in the bucket. Everybody's betting their farms, their liberty, everything. Lay your hands. You want to keep on in the protection rackets that are the motor behind the violence in Washington. Capitol Hill Police is in these deck of cards. We'll get to that. But as I say, I guess I have to, maybe I'll have to, any of these people, I could go on and on and on and on and hours. And if I Googled them, I could even bring you some more. Just what's going on in their life today. I mean, obviously, I can't keep up with all of these people on a daily basis. On another 121. So, yeah. I guess what I'm gonna have to do, because I only have 100 of these things, what I'm gonna have to do is lend money to these guys. When we run out with 100 and their pot is empty, I can lend it to them at usury rates.
I hold the cards, the cards are stacked in my favor. So anyway, that's kind of how I'm going to be playing this game. I guess, hopefully, if people don't read all of my blogs, and I do need a break from just writing and writing and writing, hopefully you'll listen, because really it is a huge protection racket, and it's just not in the United States. I mean, I know many people in Europe and South America and across the globe. I mean, I moved abroad first in the 1970s, and people high up, very, very high up, and the amount of collusion that's going on in the cover-ups is of epidemic proportions. And anytime I tell people, you can laugh at me, you can spit on me, you can try and get me living in a tent on the street. I've been hearing that for 15 years, and you've all been trying to do that. God's always come through at the last minute. I don't know. But I've kept the wolves at bay. Oh my Lord, the weirdest thing was when this whole thing started in 2007, middle of the night. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. At this point, I'm only getting like 2 hours of sleep because I'm terrified that he's gonna come in, somebody's gonna, him or his cronies are gonna come in and break in the house and kill me, and the police are gonna cover it up. My family's going to cover it up. His family's going to cover it up. Everybody's going to, accident, suicide, or whatever. That was always the agenda, and that was always the plan. And I've survived, in spite of all efforts to the contrary. Little ladies out there, you get thrown into the cesspool like I was, I promise you, oh my Lord, particularly you little whining, the me you can't see and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys need to be wake up to the real world and real problems. And you stop your whining about this stupid, he wasn't nice to me. Oh, he hugged me. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. The Cuomo stuff's pissing me off like it did with Prince Andrew. This is totally, totally unjustified. If people would just look at the evidence, not just in these cases, but what the agenda of the feminists are, and everybody who's in bed with them. When I the first demonstrations that I went to, Mothers Have Lost Children, in 2009, was May. So, I'd gotten here in February, I got a roof over my head, a job, and regroup. And that's when I started going to the demonstrations until I got that. That's what I had to concentrate on, with no help from anybody I know, noting that 85% of the jobs in DC are through favoritism and nepotism and networks. I know a lot of people with a lot of contacts. Just ignore me. I'm canceled. I loved that when it came out. Canceled. It's a perfect word. So, everybody keeps on telling me it is what it is. Well, we get to the courts, and I hope we get to the courts, because if I can't bring you guys to the courts,
you're going to be facing a bloodbath. It isn't me who's going to be, leading the charge. Are you kidding? I mean, that would be the worst mistake. I'd be like, put those things down, somebody could get hurt. So, I love it when now GW police is like, apparently I'm on a no-fly list. As as a danger or something for the security people. The security people should be listening to me, and I'll see their asses in court along with everybody that they're protecting. I mean, don't tell me that the IMF security people don't know how stupid everybody in that organization is and the games that they are playing. They know. Same with Capitol Hill police. I mean, the Capitol Hill police with the January 6th insurrection, and oh my God, we were being attacked. We were afraid for our lives for one day. Do you know, years on in, and children being raped, and the courts giving it all go ahead. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Why do you think these kids are this produces the horrible cases? This is where we see schizophrenia. It's well documented. And they say, oh yes, schizophrenia, it's not treatable. Well, yeah, it's not treatable because most of the time you're leaving the victims within the environment. This whole thing about, is the brain not working properly? Or no, the brain is working, and the past 50, 100 years of medicine and psychology and child development and everything has shown this. Daniel Amen, he's a doctor. He's not a psychologist. It's a neuro brain specialist. But the physical brain. And look him up. Changing the brain. It's all out there. The truth, the evidence. I mean, this is why I was like, thank you, Governor Cuomo, for saying this is a due process issue. Can we focus on due process instead of the bullshit that you people want to bring in and the witch hunts? That's what I've been fighting for. So anyway, say I'd be here for the rest of the night if I did all of these cards. So as I say, I'll just do, I think, 3 at a time. You can imagine how long it's going to take to get through all of these cards. And I still have more. I haven't even started the on Europe. They're just mainly Washington, D.C. with a few exceptions. So anyway, that's my game of war. The Machiavellian war games in Washington, D.C. Everybody tells me it is what it is. I just respond. I'm like, you know what? We had a saying back in the 80s, eat shit and die. I think we need to bring that one back instead of it is what it is. And you're just supposed to, let yourself be screwed. Of course, people are getting angry. So, little ladies in Washington, D.C., because believe me, there's a lot of you. And, you know, maybe in the next life, your husbands will realize that it is important to have wives, secretaries, and your mistresses who have a freaking brain, and they're not thinking in the same place that you're thinking. I mean, my Lord, this city is one freaking frat house. Men can't keep it zippered, and the women can't stop wiggling their asses because they want to go out to a nice, expensive restaurant. My younger sister told me that in the 1980s. She was like, oh yeah, he invites me to a really nice restaurant. I'm like, I'd rather go to McDonald's. I do not eat McDonald's. I do not eat fast food. I'd rather go to McDonald's with some guy with a freaking brain than sit there and listen to some idiot babbling on. And I make better food than most of the restaurants that you'll eat in. So I can go home and fix my own food. So I hope you might enjoy the game. So I'll be back tomorrow. I got my coins in from Amazon to start the game. So have a nice evening and bye. And wear your masks. I'm getting real interference. So wear your masks, please. Good evening.